Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome into the Morning Five on Monday, August 4th, 2014. I am Dave Biddle, joined by Steve Hellwagon. Steve, the opening of Ohio State's football camp is today. The freshmen will go early today. That will not be open to the media, and then the returning players will have a practice beginning at 4:15. The first half hour will be open for video, and we'll be there. We'll have a practice report on the site later. We'll have a video on the site later with narration. We'll have pictures, and we'll get to meet with Coach Urban Meyer afterward. It's just exciting, Steve. I mean, the season's going to be here before we know it. You know, they're going to kick off with Navy in Baltimore on August 30th, and it's just exciting that football's here. We're going to be covering camp later today.
Yeah, you can't believe it. I mean, it was, what would it be, 7 full months ago that the Buckeyes wrapped the season with the loss to Clemson in the Orange Bowl, and it's been a long off season with a lot of recruiting news and spring football, and then, of course, conditioning leading up to this, and guys who've been injured and banged up and missed spring, and now it sounds like most everybody's full go going into the start of preseason camp. The Buckeyes are ranked 6th in the USA Today Coaches Poll, which is not part of the formula that will be used for the playoff. It's just the whims of the selection committee now. They'll have a lot of metrics that they will use, but the Buckeyes properly positioned to make a run. If they can win 12 or 13 of their games, they should be right there in the hunt for a spot in the first ever 14 playoff, and it all starts today. Very exciting with the beginning of preseason camp.
There's so many question marks. You know, I'll just ask you what you think is the biggest question mark on the team. There's many to pick from. I'll give you mine in a minute. The biggest question mark as we head over to camp later today.
I'm going to go offense. I mean, they had a great offense last year, but if the offensive line can't play up to those high standards, they're going to have a hard time scoring quite as many points, and that may put some more of an onus on the defense. But the offensive line lost 4 starters, talking about Marcus Hall and Corey Lindsley, Andrew Norwell, and Jack Newhart. They're all gone. The one returning player is Taylor Decker. He played right tackle last year. He's back for his junior year. He'll play left tackle this upcoming season. He's pretty widely known that Pat Elflein is going to be in the lineup at right guard, it would seem. And then from there, you've got 3 spots that are completely open. The Alabama transfer, Chad Lindsey, could be in the mix at center, along with Jacoby Bourne and Billy Price. Some other guys, Antonio Underwood, Darrell Baldwin, also in the mix for a guard spot and a tackle spot, respectively. So it's going to be a great competition, I think, among the offensive linemen who have been in the program a few years, as well as, when you think about it, some very talented incoming freshmen that are going to get a chance. Jamarco Jones, Demetrius Knox, Marcellus Jones perhaps as well, Kyle Trout. Those guys are all in the running those freshmen will all be in the running to get the 2 deep. So I guess we want to wait and see what happens, but they got a lot of candidates on that offensive line. To me, that's the number one biggest question on this team, and I'll concede the floor to you. You tell me what's your biggest question mark right now.
Yeah, Steve, you know, O-line's a close second for me. You put that very eloquently, and I could also make an argument why the O-line is the number one concern. I'm going to put them a close number 2 to the linebackers. It was a concern last year, and you lose Ryan Shazier, who's a first-round pick, and I'm just not buying this stuff that, hey, the linebackers are better than any time during the Urban Meyer era, which I know is a short era, but Urban Meyer said this is the best we've looked at linebackers since I've been here. It's like, I don't know how you take Ryan Shazier off that unit and you're better. I think that's a little hyperbole. He's really broken these guys now. Now I think he's trying to build them back up. Now, there's potential there. I like what I'm hearing about Curtis Grant. I think Josh Perry is really going to develop into a solid player, and they obviously have a lot of young guys that are very intriguing when you talk about Raekwon McMillan and Dante Booker and even some of the guys that redshirted last year. Like Darren Lee's expected to have a big year as a starter, even though he's only a redshirt freshman. So there's the potential there. But, I think the offensive line, when you have Ed Warner, I just think they're going to end up being solid, in my opinion. I just can't imagine them being a huge weakness, whereas the linebackers could go either way. They could be a weakness. They were a weakness at times last year with Shazier. So I'll go linebacker. And secondary is also a concern of mine. But I don't think the secondary is as big of a concern as the linebackers and the O-line, and here's why. I think with Duran Grant, Garyon Conley, Eli Apple, Armani Reeves, and even the true freshmen with Damon Webb and Marshawn Lattimore, I think the corners are going to be okay, and I think maybe better than okay. And then at safety, I think Von Bell's going to have a big year as a sophomore. I really do. So you have Von Bell, and then the rest of the guys are unproven. Tyvis Powell, big play in the Michigan game. Cam Burrows, and I really like Eric Smith coming in as a true freshman. So I think the safeties will be at least serviceable. So I can see why people are concerned about the secondary, but I think Chris Ash is going to, get things settled there, and I like some of the talent there. But my biggest concern is the linebackers, but I can see what you're saying with the O-line. And, Steve, real quick, moving to I want to talk about basketball recruiting before we end the show here. They need at least one more player in this class. You did a good story for the site on Issa Ahmad, a power forward. He took his official visit to Ohio State this weekend. For those wondering, he is ranked as the number 12 power forward in the country, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. Ranked number 57 player overall in the country. He's a four-star prospect out of Shaker Heights, Ohio. 6'7", 218 is what we have him listed as. First of all, is his listed height and weight accurate? And just more importantly, tell us about the visit for Issa Ahmad.
Yeah, I think he's probably in that 6'7", 6'8" range. He's got long arms, so he has the ability to get his hands on a lot of basketballs coming off the rim and deflections, playing defense. He was a co-Division I Player of the Year in the state of Ohio at Shaker Heights. As a junior, he averaged 26 points and I believe 10 rebounds a game. Just did a phenomenal job there. And he's been very impressive for the All-Ohio Red team on the AAU circuit. Played very well at the Peach Jam. Wisconsin's Bo Ryan saw him play in person at the Peach Jam and came through with an offer for him right there on the spot. So it's Ohio State, Wisconsin, Maryland, West Virginia. Those are probably his top four right now, with Michigan and Michigan State also under consideration. Although neither one of them have offered, they want him to get up to campus up there before they make a offer. The interesting thing is they've already got 4 commitments in this class. They'd like to add one more player. They would have really liked to bank 2 scholarships for next year, but, I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. And I just think it's between Carlton Bragg, a national top 10 player out of Cleveland St. Joe's, and Issa Ahmad from Shaker Heights. And Bragg is not going to make a decision until the spring. So Ahmad is pretty much certain he wants to decide within the next month, around the time school starts, if not sooner. And so if that happens, and it is the Buckeyes, the word from his dad was they had a great visit to Ohio State. They're just not ready to pull the trigger just yet. And I think they're somewhat intrigued by Michigan State. If they get up there and get an offer, maybe that would change things. But I wonder if Ohio State's the team to beat. But, he has a chance if he wins at Maryland or West Virginia. He probably could go right in there and start. That's not the case at Ohio State with the great recruiting that Mata and company have done. So it's a very complex issue. Hopefully we'll get some clarity in the next month when Issa Ahmad narrows it down to maybe 3 or 4 schools, and we'll see where the Buckeyes stand at that point. But it's either Ahmad or Bragg. I'd take either one. To be honest with you, I'd take both. If they both wanted to come to Ohio State, they've got the scholarships that put them in a bind for 2016. I don't care. They're both good players.
That would be the Thad 6 if they got both Bragg and Ahmad in this class, which is already fantastic. I mean, it's already the number 2 class in the country. Yeah. Yeah, and then knocking on the door with Syracuse to be number 1. If they got Bragg, that would make them number 1. If they got Ahmad, I think that would push them over the top. Now, maybe by the end of the recruiting cycle, someone could jump them, but if they got Ahmad,
Kentucky will always be there. You know that.
Yeah, Worldwide West and Calipari are going to be fighting for that number 1 spot.
They find a way.
Yes, they do. And one last thing on Ahmad before I let you go. I mean, this is I just want to let the listeners know, if you like the crystal ball or if you don't, however you feel about it, I'm just going to throw this out there. 92% of the crystal ball, it says Issa Ahmad will pick Ohio State. You have 4% West Virginia, 4% Maryland, and 92% for the Buckeyes. So hopefully the crystal ball is right on this one, and Ahmad will be a Buckeye. Thanks to Steve Hellwagon. Thanks to the listeners out there. Again, practice gets rolling today. We'll be out there at 4:45, and we'll have coverage on the front row message board. We'll have coverage on the front page of the site. Take it away, best damn band in the land.